Hello, everyone. This is Carolyn Coleman, and welcome to Gentry's Journey. Our featured guest today is Lissha Tillman Sadler, um, Aisha, as she's fondly answers to or known as an author, a radio host, celebrity interviewer, founder, and editor-in-chief of Hardcore Magazine. Aisha is full of knowledge. She conquers what she sets out to do. We collaborated together. We were a part of an anthology. That's how we met. So, Aisha, thank you again for being a guest on Gentry's Journey. And just go ahead and tell the audience about yourself.
I've been in radio since 2012.
Oh, that's great. That speaks of longevity to me. That is for sure. Now, can you tell me about your vision and your mission for your magazine?
So my vision and my mission is anything I do is every shade of me, whether it's a book or my magazine or my book event. It's always every shade of me. And I always want to be a blessing to others because I'm blessed. So I'm blessed to
Absolutely.
be a blessing. And so I use what my skills are to be able to be a blessing to other people. My vision is always growing. But I like to be a one-stop shop. A lot of people call me the plug. A lot of people feel like, if I want to know something, if I want to do something, let me go to Lissha because she either going to tell me how to do it or she's going to know somebody that's going to be able to tell me how to do it. And so, and it's something I've always done. And it just grows. It just grows.
And I can see every day being an adventure. Honestly, I can. But just tell me the term plug. What exactly does that mean for someone like me? I mean, break it down to me.
Like just like a plug, you're always putting somebody in a position. As I position
Oh,
myself,
yeah.
I position those around me. So if I position myself in a certain way where I have certain connections or I have the ability to do certain things, I'm able to position everybody around me in order for them to grow as well. Because as they say, it takes a village. We all have room to be able to grow and move forward, but it takes a village. So you have to be able to help each other move and grow as well.
Well, I'm so glad I asked that question because you and I collaborated on, we were co authors in The Breaking Point. That was my very first anthology. And you had me on as a guest on Clubhouse, one of the you had. And I was like, where is this taking me? So, because I'm like, well, she's taking me to places I haven't been before, which doesn't take much because because I was not really in that arena. The Breaking Point was truly my first anthology, and my fiction was first, but my fiction kept me right in my room. Okay, I went to a couple of signings and things of that nature, but the anthology really got me out there. And then when you invited me on to your show, I was like, okay. And you told me that people aren't proprietary. So you share people, and I was like, okay, that makes sense. And then you introduced me to someone else. And yes, I accepted that invitation as well. So yeah, you are who you say you are. I can say that from this lady coming from Alabama. You are who you say you are. And
Thank you.
so if you don't, hey, if you can get it done, it's going to be going to get done. So kudos to you, because I know some people who aren't as giving and, oh, this is mine, I'm gonna keep it right here in this little cup, you can't have any, that type of thing. But like you said, it does take a village to grow. It takes people who are willing to share and who are willing to teach, because I'm totally out of my element, or I was back then. I'm getting closer. I'm getting closer, because nursing is my background. So yeah, I can talk to you about nursing all day long. I can talk to you about medicine and the different specialists you may need to see. But being an author, oh yeah, I was way out of my league. But I'm enjoying the ride. That is for sure. With people like you in the game, I am definitely enjoying the ride. Okay. Now, as the founder and editor in chief, what is your role on a day-to-day operation? What do you do daily? I know there are no 2 days alike, but if you could just give me just a brief synopsis of how you get your day done.
Well, I work, so I have to juggle a lot. When it comes to hardcore grind is under the umbrella of Intriguing Moves. Intriguing Moves is the parent company to everything that I do. And learning how to, and this was a process for me, and a lot of people experience this, but learning how to brand your company and not brand just what you do. You see what I'm saying? There's a difference. Yes. And so I'm learning how to brand my company opposed to being known for the things that I do, whether it's literary services, whether it's consulting, depending, formatting a book, marketing, brand consulting. Like there's so many things that I do, but people know me by what I do and not the company. So I'm learning how to brand my company over the things that I do. So my day-to-day is, by the time I get off of work, it depends. If I am preparing to launch the next magazine like I'm doing now, then I have a lot of interviews. I have interviews back to back to back. I try to spread them out so that I can format them up. I do all of the marketing, all of the formatting, any mixing and mingling I have to do, because in anything that you're putting out, it's just like a book. You have to kind of hit the campaign trail. You got to shake hands and you got to kiss the babies, because you are really selling yourself, and everything you're selling yourself first in order to sell the book or the magazine or whatever the product is. You really are the product, so you're selling yourself first. And learning how to allow those things that you do gain legs by themselves to be able to carry your name farther.
Okay. When you said campaigning, that's when I started writing. Writing was very cathartic for me. I ran for a local public office, political office in my city, and it was truly not my doing. Nowhere was that on my radar. And God was like, run. I'm like, run. No, I'm the nurse. I'm good. I can take care of patients, but obedience is better than sacrifice. So I started calling my family and friends to talk me out of it. But no, they were like, no, go for it. I'm like, what is wrong with you people? What is wrong with y'all? So I started writing. And one of my coworkers, she self-published and she was so happy. I'm now a published author. And I was like, kudos. I'm giving her high fives. And I said, I've always wanted to write, but I've never taken the time. I've always threatened to do it, but I've never taken the time. She was like, right, Miss Carol. I was like, okay, Cassie, I will. But I didn't start then. I started while I was campaigning, because at the end of the day, you're exhausted. Like you say, you are knocking on doors, you are shaking hands, you're meeting people, you're introducing yourself to others. And so that would be a healthy release for me at the end of the day, if that makes It
Mm-hmm.
would, and it was so freeing. So my character started developing, and I'm not saying she was perfect, but it was the work that really kept me focused. So I get it. You have to get yourself out there. People have to know you. They have to know about you, and it's just funny. Even with my picture on my campaign material and my name, oh, I didn't know that was you. I'm like, get out, please. Find somebody else to tell that to. Please, please, please. So it is hard work campaigning. It's hard work to I can imagine building a business and building your brand. But even after, you know, two failed attempts at that office, I kept my integrity. I didn't bash my opponent because that's not what I'm in here for.
Right.
You can run a clean campaign and you walk
Mm-hmm.
away because I'm not one of those people you're going to dog me out and I'm going to be cool about it. No, we're not going to do that. But I just know we can run a clean campaign and we can run it without having any regrets at the end of the day. And even several years later, I held it, and people would try to, oh, well, what is it you don't like about him? I said, who said I didn't like him? It's just things I see in the neighborhood that need to be done. So people don't understand your vision, and they'll twist it if you allow that. So you have to stay razor focused on your love and on what you're doing. Correct?
Absolutely. You're right.
'Cause
You're right.
distractions come up. So those were my distractors. And I can imagine that with pulling your magazine together and getting people interviewed and getting all the information from them. That's a lot. That is a lot of work. Am I right?
It is a little bit sometimes. I rely on my Rolodex. Like I've met a lot of different people in a lot of different industries. So again, I'm really blessed to be able to pick up the phone and call, you know, people that the average person can't reach out to.
Sure.
So when it comes to covers and things, sometimes it's just an ask. And it's like, sure, it's always good to be able to have that type of support around you. And I appreciate that. And I want to go back because you talked about the anthology. So the anthology was my first anthology. And it was a
Oh,
lot going
great.
on.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a lot going on in my life at that time. And so my chapter is chapter 18. It was the switch up. And the switch up, I believe, is when God places his divine hand over your life and starts making moves. Um, and you're a lot of times we negotiate with him. It's like, well, if you just do this and then, let's move like this. And it's like he's gonna let you do what you want to do. Go ahead. But you're gonna have to come back
Sure.
to me and you're gonna have to do it my
Absolutely.
way. Um, and in the switch up, I talked a little bit about what I was going through and how I was negotiating and then I had to realize, listen, just whatever you want to do. And things start moving. They move like clockwork and everything is very in sync when you let him lead you, you know. And so I had to learn that. And I'm still learning that because that's a learning process every day. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but it's very important that I am able to um, support others and be able to just push that feeling of it makes me feel good when other
Great.
people are doing good. And so when it comes down to the magazine and I go out and I'm able to call on people, I enjoy that. You know, I feel accomplished. And it's not, as hard as I think. Some people are harder to get
Sure.
when they're outside of my Rolodex. But for the most part, you get good feedback.
That's great.
And it's been a good experience, but it's always been like that. A lot of people I've had in the magazine, I've interviewed previously multiple
Okay.
times. So it was easy to have them come and be in the magazine. So it's been a whirlwind, and it's been an exciting moment to be able to put it together. But there's a lot of it's work. It's work.
Oh yeah, I do believe it. But when you enjoy what you do,
Hmm?
it seems to go better. Now that's does not mean that it is without its hiccups, okay?
Exactly.
But
Hmm.
when you know what you do, when I look back over my nursing career, I'm like, where did the time go? And it's no times that I regret, but
Hmm.
I just can't believe that I did it for that number of years. And I have fond memories. I have some memories that are not so fun, but
Hmm.
some of them are laughable. But yes, when it's what you enjoy doing, I think I had a professor to say, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. And it took me a minute to understand that, to get that
Hmm.
concept. But okay, years later, I understood. I was
It's
like, that
true.
makes sense. It is
It's
true.
very
It is
true.
very true. So when you love what you do, it makes it better. It makes it better. Like I said, it's not going to be without its hiccup, but it's going to be okay.
Yeah, you're absolutely
Now,
right
how
about
do you
that.
go about that? Is great. Now, how do you go about selecting topics and themes, for each issue? Do you have it already pre-planned a month before or 2 months out?
Mhm.
Or something drops in your spirit?
Yeah, it's just what's in my spirit. And so when magazines are a little bit different than books. I mean, it's
Okay.
still book, books have to flow. And so working with a magazine, you deal a lot with colors.
Mm-hmm.
And the colors have to flow as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so I play with the vision of it because it's a visual uh form of art. So the colors I use for the background, the articles themselves is based on that person. And those
Mm-hmm.
normally before the interview, I write out the questions.
Okay.
And I have to stop them a little bit. I do. I go through their social media. I look at their bio, but I go through their social
Oh,
media and I
sure.
see different things
Yeah.
that they're doing, experiencing, and I use those to create the questions. So for the most part, it's putting it together is just more like making sure the visual flows. Like you might have a
Okay.
color here and a color here, and I might be like, okay, that's not working for me. It's
Mm-hmm.
distracting. Just like when you're writing a book, certain words are distracting. Certain things distract the
Okay.
readers from the experience of what they're reading. So learning how to do that visually with a magazine is a process because it's new. Normally, I'm able to think of books and how a book would flow and how words should be used
Okay.
in a book. But a magazine is kind of um, a different type of animal. But I'm learning. I'm learning how
Okay.
to, uh, and I always get a copy of it and I look at
Okay.
it and I say, I don't like this. Ooh, I'm gonna change the font here. Let me do this. And whatever I see that I want to change, I make that change in the next one.
Okay. Okay. So it's still a learning process. But if you stop learning, you stop growing.
Absolutely.
So I dub myself a forever learner. I'm always willing to learn something new, whether I'm willing or not. Like processes on the job. I'm like, what? When is the deadline? Are you kidding me? But we get it done. We pivot and we get it done. So I get that. And speaking of on the magazine, um, you allow Judy and I to do an article for caregivers in the month of December. So I want to thank you for that on our behalf, because that was very generous, and I did love the article. The way it turned out, it was really, really pretty. So I was tickled again about that. So I wanted to thank you for that before you got off. Now, what steps do you ensure that your magazine stays relevant and appealing to your audience?
So I look at the guests and the interviews that I have, what I'm talking about. Like in the March issue, I actually interviewed Honorable Judge Maureen Woods, which was more like a political type interview. Um, I
Mm-hmm.
For December we did a 50-year hip hop anniversary write up, and I had an
Right.
artist, um, actually a recording rap artist, to be able to write that. So I try to always look at what's going on and kind of tweak it from there. I love music. So when I have some of the guests on, a lot of things that we experience now come from the history of what happened before. And
Sure,
so
sure.
I've had guests on like Preston Glass, who, we love certain music, but we don't know the sound behind it. And so I love to be able to bring that out, because a lot of those songs that we listened to back when we were growing up are coming out now, but they're being redone. And so we got to know that, oh, that song is a redo. It's not the original. We have to know where it came from. My
Mm-hmm.
very first magazine cover was Trisha Mann Grant, who plays Dominique LaRue in The Family Business, which is one of the
Mm.
top shows on BET. And so things
Okay.
like that, I try to incorporate all the time. If it's Father's Day, if it's Mother's Day, I have somebody write a poem about mothers and fathers. That's what we did in the September issue. And I carry
Okay.
it over. I carry it over. Now I kept
Mm-hmm.
the Father's Day poem in, because my father's birthday is in December. And so I kept
Sure.
that in the December magazine. So little things like that, whether it's the story that's accepted, a Christmas story, anything about giving. So I keep the season in mind as well.
Oh, that's great. And it makes perfect sense, because you, like you say, you want it to flow and you want it to be relevant to what's going on. Now, there's been a lot of talk about Freaknik. The When you said hip hop 50 years, that popped in my head. Okay. Would you, or have you had thoughts of incorporating a little bit of that? Because it's been a little bit
No,
of a controversy
no,
about, and I'm like,
no, because
now that's one. That,
it wasn't like it was a movement. It was just a big party. And I'm sorry, you
yes,
was partying back then, and you was wild and doing what you want to do, and now somebody wants to turn it into some sort of documentary, and they want to do this. It was really a big party. It was a festival. It was something that people went to during spring break, but they have those experiences everywhere. So
absolutely.
writing an article about it, I mean, it would. There are articles about it, but I wouldn't write one.
Sure. Now that was a party I never attended, and so I was trying to think of the time frame, and my best friend and I were laughing about it. Well, she was more serious than I am, because I was silly. I was like, "Boo, that was a party. I don't get what the big deal is." I mean, was the photography so great they can really pick you out of the crowd and Freaknik
Right.
as
Are they gonna know it was you? I mean, like, do you look the
unless you
same?
raise your hand, and
Right.
a hit dog will bark. So if you keep barking, somebody's gonna look for you and find you. I said, let it rest. It was a
Yep.
party, it was a picnic, it was a festival. From my understanding, just let it play out. The news cycle will go and come with that, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And it's kind of like The Help, like in the movie The Help, where she gave her the pie. Nobody knew what the pie was, but you and her. So if you say something, that's on you. You wanted
It's
people to
on
know
you.
that
Yeah,
you were
and
there.
that was my thing. I was like, who cares? You know, nobody cares. Everybody has had a life at some point in time.
Yeah.
Everyone has been young, they've been teenagers. I tease some of the doctors, and one doctor especially, he really smart, really intelligent. And he was charting one day, and I walked up to him. I said, "Oh, I can see you now, and you're in your college dorm with your night light on, just writing all your notes. You never went to a party." He was like, "Yes, I was very studious. I was sitting there glued to my seat." And he gets up and he was like, "Carolyn, I wish." And we laugh it off because it's just a joke, you know, it's just a joke. So sometimes we just need to let things go and come. We just need to let them go and come instead of keep, you know, bringing it up, because the more you bring it to surface, it's the more people will dig and look. So we have to do that as well. Now, do you
Absolutely.
have an editorial team?
No. Well, I have people contributors. So I don't necessarily call it an editorial team. I have people that contribute to the magazine. So if they want
Okay.
to contribute, so with Hardcore Grind, it's where entertainment meets Reader's Digest.
Yes.
So
Yes.
and within that I do what's called On the Black Side, which is for us by us. And so when I those people that contribute, they're contributing on the black side, whether it's about mental
Okay.
health, caregivers. They might contribute, like in the December version, somebody did a contribution as far as Tubi and the different movies. So that's how I do it. There's not necessarily multiple writers. I do all the interviewing. But the different articles and on the black side, those do come from other people.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, you have to have some core people there. You know, you don't need to carry the entire weight of it as well. Um, Now, do you ever run across some very difficult editorial decisions? Now, we just teased about Freaknik, and that came out of the blue. But have you ever run across something that was difficult, or a difficult decision you had to make as to should I, should not?
No,
Okay,
no.
no, simple as that. Simple as that.
That's what happened. I mean, when you're the boss, it's like how I want it is how I want it.
And that
Um,
is true.
and that's
That is
it.
true.
And if I don't like it, I don't like it. But because I'm
Okay.
doing it, it's like I have to. And it was funny because Taraji P. Henson did an interview and she talked about checking your ego, which is very important. You have to also check it in your creativity.
Okay.
Because when you're being a creative, whether it's a visual creative with a magazine or with a book, you have to check your own personal ego in order to further your vision. Because you can stump your own vision and keep it lower just by your thought process. And
Okay.
so I learn from stuff. If I like, people will give me an idea. If I like it, I like it. If I don't, I don't do it. But I
Okay.
take what I feel that I like and I apply that and I leave the rest. But I appreciate people wanting to see it go farther and see different things. So, but yeah, no, I don't really get into the maybe I should or shouldn't. I'm just gonna put it out
Either,
there.
hey, either it's gonna happen or it's not, right?
Hmm.
Either it's gonna happen or not. Now, we talked about you being an author, but a radio host. What do you do as a radio host?
So I've been, and it's just really doing interviews, radio or podcast.
Okay.
I've been doing that since 2012. Originally, I was actually doing interviews in the Facebook group called Writing Royalty. and I was doing Honor Thy Author. So I was doing interviews with authors
Okay.
online. And then when
Okay.
we started doing radio, I was doing the producer portion of the radio. So it's kind of hard to do online interviews. So um, I asked Miss Tony if she wanted to do Let's Chat. And that's really how Let's Chat started. We were doing radio on Real Raw Radio in the clubhouse. And Tony and I actually started doing Let's Chat once a month. And then it went
Okay.
from once a month to almost every day of the week. And then we had Let's Chat Sports. So it's something, being a podcaster or a radio host, you're just really talking to people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And tell Miss Tony I said hello. Um,
Absolutely.
but that that is great. So it's kind of like you do all things entertainment.
I do.
Seems like you do all things entertainment, which is great, which is absolutely great. And you do, I've seen you attend different book fairs or exhibitions or things of that nature, and usually go live, just putting the focus on the authors and things of that nature. And me attending some book fairs, if you will, I know they appreciate getting that attention because you want some foot traffic to come through when you're, when you're displaying your business or your brand. So you try to help promote that aspect of it as well.
Okay. Yeah.
How
You're
many
right.
of those do you usually do? Yeah. How many of those do you usually do? Let's say in a year. Because sometimes it's kind of hard to find book fairs in and around.
Well, you know what? When I first started getting into books, I didn't see book events as much. But I see them year round now. Like you
Okay.
have some that are in the wintertime, some that are in spring, some that are in the summer. And so I don't get out as much as I used to because I also do my own book event. So I don't get out as much as I used to. But when I can get out, I love to go to 556 Book Chicks. They do a book event. There's another book event that's in Detroit. I just love seeing them everywhere. Ohio, Chicago,
Mm-hmm.
Indianapolis,
Mm-hmm.
Colorado, Texas, Florida.
Okay.
So they're everywhere.
Yeah, they
Virginia.
are.
So and they're more often. They're more
Okay.
often than fewer than what they were.
Okay. I thought you were just doing just maybe locally. I didn't know you were doing hey, interstate. But that can be interesting. I can see that being interesting as well to see how everyone puts on a different
Mm-hmm.
book fair, if you will. Our local library, the director calls it the author's extravaganza. And it
Uh-huh.
really is nice. We did our first in-house since COVID. I think it was in August, and we had a very good turnout. So I think everybody was pleased just to be out in the building, even though he did virtual
Mm-hmm.
interviews, and they turned out, they really did turn out okay. They really did. But when I think people had an opportunity to come back in, because authors really had the opportunity to introduce themselves, see other people's work, and I think we just missed being, in the building together.
Yes.
You know,
And then when
so
you go to book events, it's kind of like going to a family reunion
okay, okay, okay,
because you're able to see people that you don't see often.
and
And
that
when you
is
see them, it's a good time. It's a
it.
good
It is.
time in literature. I mean, it's a good time in community.
Mm-hmm.
So I think of them as family reunions because I'm able to see people that I haven't seen in a while or that I talked to maybe have never seen before. So they're all great experiences.
Mm-hmm. And I can see that. I have attended one where I knew no one there, but it was very good. It was organized very well. And I have been to like our authors extravaganza, and it's always going to be new people there.
Mm-hmm.
And some people will travel as far as a couple of hours to get there. But hey, if you're going to get and market your brand, you're going to have to put in some work to get it done. Everyone seemed
Absolutely.
to enjoy themselves. It was just a good time. But that is what you have to do. If you believe in what you have, you've got to get it out
Absolutely. You got to move your feet. If you don't move your feet, it's only going to go just so far.
That is so true. That is so, so true. Now, is there anything else you would like for the listeners to know, Aisha?
Um, to know as far as what I do,
How we can
or
reach you, how we can reach you, any other tips or the trade that you would like to share with the audience, and hardcore grind is your baby. Do you have anything else on the horizon?
well, hardcore grind is one of the things that I do. You can always go to intriguingmoves.com, and that's
Mm-hmm.
every shade of me, so you'll be able to see the literary services. You'll be able to listen to shows, t-shirts, books, whatever it is that I'm doing, will be all inclusive to the website. As far as what I want people to know, you got to always make sure you're taking bold steps in the dark. A lot of times really mindful about how other people pour into themselves, how they speak into their own lives. But when we deal in ourselves, we deal with lack and fear. And we have to stop doing that, because just as you want somebody else to be great, you have to want to be great. And in order to do that, you got to make moves to for those things to happen and flourish in those times. But don't be afraid. It may look scary, but you got to. That's part of your blessing that you're able to give to other people. The experience of you and your skills and your gifts. And if you hold your gift, you're not doing what you're supposed to do if you just hold it. So let it go. Let people experience you and love on you and be grateful for the things that you do. I'm Lissha on every platform. I believe in consistent branding. Only thing that's different is my Twitter. It's three S's in my name instead of two S's, but consistently across the board. If you go to my website, you can click the links at the top to all of my social media. You can catch us on YouTube. Um, all of the interviews, whether they're live or recorded, are on YouTube as well. And just follow me.
Okay, we will do that. Now, when you mentioned intriguing moves again, and I'm sorry, I should have asked this earlier. What does intriguing moves accomplish? I mean, what does it encompass is what I'm trying to say.
So Intriguing Moves is my parent company. It's
Okay.
everything sits under the umbrella. And
Mm-hmm.
so with Intriguing Moves, the vision behind that is everything that I do, everything that if I have a client that they're doing is intriguing someone else, whether they're writing, or reading, like you're doing something to intrigue somebody else. And so that's what I want to do. Everything I do, I want to intrigue others. And so we have Intriguing Moves. I have Hardcore Grind podcast, and magazine. I have Intriguing Pens, which is the publishing company. um I have Vision and Books, which is my book event.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have a nonprofit coming. I haven't started that yet, but I'll have a nonprofit coming, and just all shades of me.
That is wonderful. And I am so glad that you said you kind of have to get over your fear. Even though fear has a tendency to push you, it also
Mm-hmm.
has a tendency to help you hold yourself back. So you have to move past your fear to accomplish what you want to accomplish. I honestly appreciate you saying that, because it took getting over my comfort zone to start writing. It took saying yes to the
Mhm.
breaking point in Dr. P, and to Asada Kirkland for, she's the founder of the Metaverse, the Soulful Chicago Book Fair. And I said, if I hadn't said yes, because you can always talk yourself out of something,
Mhm.
I would not have met people such as yourself, who's willing to give and share their knowledge and their talents. Um, because someone like me with very little background, little to no background, and to meet someone who's willing to share and share what they have, like I said, their gifts and their talent, that just gives you more courage to move forward. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Even Cassie with, I just finished publishing my book. I'm now a published author. It's her work. I am still appreciative of her stepping out to do what she needs to do. Everybody's not going to applaud you, but as long as you're applauding
That's right.
yourself, that's
You're
okay.
absolutely right about that.
Yeah. Everyone is not going to be there for you. But thank you so much for joining us on Gentry's Journey. You have a good rest of the evening. Miss Aisha Sadler with Hardcore Grind, Intriguing Moves. Follow her. And like she say, hey, she'll probably put you in in her Rolodex. I'll make a connection. So that is wonderful. Thank you so much, Aisha. I really appreciate you being a part of Gentry's Journey and accepting the invite.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
You
And
have a
that's
wonderful evening. Go ahead.
absolutely. Oh, that's Lissha Sadler on uh all sites, Lissha. I'll love to hear from you. Thank you for always supporting me. You always, always come through, you and Miss Judy. I appreciate you guys. And I will talk to you soon.
We will talk again. Thank you so much. And you have a great rest of your evening. Okay.
You too.
All right. And in closing, may the Lord God continue to bless you and bless you real good in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen.